Today, many people don't know what to believe anymore. I'm what they call a philosopher of religion. As a Christian, I want to know in what form, if any, Christian faith is possible for us today. As a philosopher, I want to know what view of life and what basis for values still remains to us.
Hello, I'm Don Cupitt, formerly Dean of Emmanuel College, Cambridge. In 1980, the BBC asked me to write and present a television series which studied the modern cultural situation within which any future religious thought would have to be developed. We'll have to ask whether religion is actually needed at all any longer. Difficult question. I was only 45. I didn't yet know what I myself think. My own ideas were not sufficiently developed. I lived in mental turmoil for about 20 years by then and had not yet concluded my own thinking. It was another 10 or 15 years before I reached an approximately final position. Now I find myself, as Wittgenstein did, I am incurably religious in temperament, even though the Bible has now been completely demolished as a historical work by modern criticism. For example, when the new epidemic of viral disease broke out, the COVID epidemic, Rome simply could not make its traditional theological interpretation of disease sound convincing. But according to the Book of Common Prayer, so much revered by conservative Englishmen, disease is always a visitation from God, and you're supposed to repent in sackcloth and ashes. You couldn't possibly today tell people that in response to this new epidemic, they were simply to repent. The fact is, modern medicine has swept the board. It's taken all the space up for itself, and it's to it that even popes turn when they're sick. Modern medicine is the most convincing argument for modernity, and it's won.
The old Christian view of the universe was a mixture of the Bible and Greek science, coming especially from Aristotle. The universe was a perfect sphere, over 100 million miles across, made of a glassy material called the quintessence. Within it are the 7 heavens of the various wandering planets. But none of this was dead, empty space. These are the crystal palaces of the blessed dead, full of life and movement.
I was considered to be a natural. I was younger and better looking in those days. That's 40 years ago. We all were. So I just gradually learned and quite enjoyed it as I went along. They used to say that towards the end, I was doing everything in only one take. From the first, the television program was thought to be good documentary treatment of ideas by the BBC executives, and by the general public it was intensely interesting. If you went out, everybody looked at you, and I had to wear sunglasses for a year or so when I went out of the house to conceal who I was.
One night, I was called over here to a deathbed at 3 in the morning. There were no relatives present, and the patient was alone and already unconscious. He lived only a few minutes. I gave him absolution and said the prescribed prayers.
We learned how to use the occasional image to help make a point. You can use art to make a point. For example, at the very end of the first program, I am filmed walking out of the hospital at 2 or 3 in the morning, having attended the bedside of a dying man. And the long shot from above of me and the stars in the sky makes it very well the point of the loneliness of man in the modern universe. We are surrounded now by billions and billions of death, miles of death in every direction. The modern universe is terrifyingly vast and empty and cold and unfriendly. Why on earth did we ever arise at all to know that that is our situation?
It seems to me that he is a humanist who does not believe in God, but who finds it personally useful and satisfying to have some sort of Christian spirituality and ethic. If I'm honest, that's how it strikes me.
Well, let me reply that I do believe in God. The question is, what do we mean by God?
To say you believe in God and are not simply playing with words, deceiving the public, you mean at least that you think the world was created by a supernatural being, which you don't. You believe that he was incarnated as a man, which you don't. You believe that he was resurrected, which you don't. You probably don't believe there's an afterlife. On all these points, I'm in agreement with you and in disagreement with the bishop. Why not be frankly on my side?
Because the programmes were made to show how that traditional, objectified and dogmatic understanding of Christian faith has slowly been evolving.
In other words, the programmes, you made an excellent series of programmes showing people why one should cease to believe in God.
No, because I think you're holding an over-rigid, fossilised view of Christianity.
At the time, the series aroused a lot of discussion, because there hadn't been a similar treatment of great philosophers at all. Its greatest impact was amongst the younger male Anglican clergy. People, I suppose, who might have looked to me to produce ideas that would interest them. I don't remember receiving any really angry letters. Most of the letters were friendly. Most were people who were thrilled to learn that the intellectual difficulties they experienced had been worked over very thoroughly in the last 300 or 400 years. The West did not give up its religion lightly, but only after a prolonged intellectual struggle involving the best minds of the period. I tried to give in the series a cool portrayal of this conflict and its outcome to help viewers to make up their own minds.
You may not agree, but in a way that's only to be expected. For our whole message has been that in the modern situation, the individual stands absolutely alone with his freedom before the ultimate questions of life. You must decide. We finish now. It's over to you.